I want to welcome everyone to the Township Board meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Holmes,
Here.
trustee Frierson,
Here.
trustee McDowell,
Here.
trustee Fisher,
Here.
chairman Neal.
Here. Let me bring up the flag and we will do Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation
one nation, under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
with
justice
liberty
for all.
and justice for all.
Thank you. Stop sharing and then- Okay, are there any agenda changes this evening? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as proposed?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
second. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Holmes,
Aye.
trustee Frierson,
Aye.
trustee McDowell,
Aye.
trustee Fisher,
Aye.
chairman Neal.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on March 16th, 2021 at 6:00 PM. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Holmes,
Aye.
trustee Frierson,
Aye.
trustee McDowell,
Aye.
trustee Fisher,
Aye.
chairman Neal.
Aye. Item 6, are there any citizens' comments? We have one person as an attendee. If you could raise your hand or message into the chat if you would like to speak to the board on it in regards to anything. Hearing none. We will move on to item 7, authorize bills for payment. Trustee Fisher.
Yes, I met with via phone conference last week with Supervisor Neal and Assessor Davis and reviewed the finances for the month ending March 31st. And I submit total bills in the amount of $73,260.97.
Is there a second? Seconded by trustee McDowell. Any discussion? Trustee Holmes had one question that she texted me just to share. So the specific question was the cost that was paid out to the Couch Lake County. And actually I can just go back here and find it. For $1,349 for education benefits at CLC. And that is for Sandra Usher to take the project management training program. We have a lot of projects that we manage in this office and we don't have anybody specifically trained in that area. So Sandra was willing to go through that training to be able to help our team moving forward with that. So thank you for asking about that, Trustee Holmes.
That's great.
Any further questions or discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Holmes,
Aye.
trustee Frierson,
Aye.
trustee McDowell,
Aye.
trustee Fisher,
Aye.
chairman Neal.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is discussion regarding the budget for fiscal year 2021 to 22. I'm assuming everybody has it now in their hands and we will be voting on that at the May meeting, but I wanted to see if anybody had any questions or concerns with it so far. And if there was a desire to have a workshop, or if you guys just want to reach out to me individually, if you have questions or comments, what would be your pleasure? And Trustee Fisher, what would you recommend?
on first look, I don't see the need for a budget workshop, because we're not trying to resolve any negative issues on the budget. So I feel that, if the other trustees feel comfortable with it, if there are any issues that we find in reviewing the documents, that they can be answered, on a one-to-one basis. I don't know how anyone else feels about that.
Anybody disagree with that?
I've yet to review it, so I'm okay with reviewing, offline and then asking any questions.
I'll just note that, as I have stated previously, guesstimate is not a real word.
Yes, sir. Duly
And I
noted.
also question whether you have spelled it correctly. So
If it's not a real
I'll
world,
just-
how do you know how to spell it?
I'll just leave that there.
Thank you.
A motion to change that to anticipated or expected.
I'm not going to include that word. Thank you.
Okay. No, so we're gonna leave it at, as you guys go through it, questions and concerns and comments and stuff, if you want to reach out to me, and then we can do the discussion at the board meeting, hopefully. We will have questions resolved by then. Excellent.
I did have one question in terms of the emergency assistance. It was budgeted at 50,000, went up $15,000.
Mhm.
Given the state that actually the country is in, but we anticipate beyond fiscal the budget year 2021, 2022 to be at 50,000. I mean, I guess maybe not.
Yeah, but I'm guessing yes. In the conversation with the next item with the FARA grant, I think will have a lot to do with the emergency assistance that we spend. So we did not max out our emergency assistance this year because we had the CHIRP funds. And so we were able to utilize those funds first. So it's really, there's no way to know budgeting that amount so that we can help as many people as possible that are in dire situations.
Yeah. Okay.
And primarily, actually, the emergency assistance funds will, at this point, be going towards assisting homeowners because there's a lot of funds for individuals who rent. But at this point, there aren't a lot of funds for homeowners. But where I'm hearing that there's going to be funds coming down the pike for that as well. Okay. All right, so if there's no other questions or comments or concerns, we'll move on to discussion regarding the FARA grant. I sent each of you an email with our concerns and the information, and I appreciate the feedback that I got from individuals. We had our full day staff retreat on Wednesday of last week, and we went through and did a long list of the pros, a long list of the cons, and the things that we really would need to have addressed before we could move forward. And, one of the things was to realize that we could not do this ourselves. We already in 1 week had 36 applications for these funds and realized very quickly we would get buried by this grant. And so we actually ended up reaching out today. Many of you probably know her, Jacqueline Francelmat. She worked for Love Inc. for quite a number of years. And when they brought in their new executive director, they reorganized and had to cut budget significantly. And so she was let go. And so Adriana met with her today to see if she would be willing to be contracted to come in and help process these applications. And she was thrilled with the idea. So she'll be able to come in at 3 days a week to be able to process these, and the grant will pay the contracted funds, so it won't come out of township funds to do that. Now, Adrian and Amy will also be doing the applications, but then they can actually do general assistance and emergency assistance first and then go to those, and Jackie can cover those. So that was so the list of things that we needed, and just to share with you that I sent to Brenda, letting her know that this was what I was going to share with you tonight. Brenda from the Lake County Development was one that we would need to hire, and they would need to train Jackie when she was on. That we would prefer that the Lake County Housing Authority process their own applications for their clients. They also have funds for this grant, so we would like them to do that, because there's paperwork and stuff that they can process much easier than we'd be able to. And then third, that in the report that we send them with the list of people that we helped, we can note when we have concerns where there's fraud or something going on. We can't challenge anything. If the person has a letter saying that they have been impacted, we just have to believe it and go with it. And so, but for passports and for LAHEAP, there's a place where we can just make a note. And so we ask that we be able to do that just so that we can know that we're putting a red flag out. And then the next thing that we wanted to ask for was to have control of the flow of applications. So individuals don't actually come to us, they go to a website and they fill out the application, and they get to choose the organization that they want to go through. And so we're asking that when we get overflow, because there's nothing worse than feeling like you're getting buried in applications, to be able to have them turn off the Zion Township is one of the recipients until we can catch back up, and then turn that back on, so that we can manage the stress level with this. And then the last thing that we shared with her that we're going to be doing. So for all applications, because there's a lot of individuals, you don't have to be behind on rent in order to get assistance. And you can be making $4,100 a month as a single person in order to and still receive these funds. And so what we realized is that there are some people that this could actually help set them up in a different way. And so one of the things that we're going to do is before 2020, we worked with just an incredible group of Carmen Diaz and Chris Barsick and Affordable Housing and the Great Lakes Credit Union and different other realtors to put together a roadmap for buying a house. If you are on Section 8 housing and have no income to buying a house, what are all the different steps that you have to take in order to get that? And so we're going to be sharing that with individuals that come in that seem like they're a fit for that information. We'll be giving them all the resources in that map to encourage them, because one of the things that we've found in the research that we've done is that home ownership pretty much resolves every problem, every major problem we have in our community, from school scores to raising the median income, to safety, to community looking better. When people own a piece of the property, things change. So we are going to really use this as an opportunity to encourage people to be willing to consider that. And so I sent that email to the county, and we feel like if they're willing to do those things, if those will work, that we can actually manage this grant. But I appreciate having you guys to reach out to and just share, and share the concerns about it. Any feedback, Trustee Frierson?
Yeah, so a couple of things, I guess. So one, thanks for putting this together. I think that if the grant supplies it and we need to augment staff, then that makes sense. I guess still looking at all the documentation that I could find, it does still seem to be some eligibility requirements for people to come through. So I'm curious as to what is happening with the 36 applications that have come through so far.
So
are those just automatically approved?
No, we will be processing those. We weren't planning on, we can't approve any of the applications until May 1 anyway, because of the money isn't actually in the budget until May 1st. And so we will be processing those applications to be submitted May 1st. So they've had over 1,000 applications submitted. And to date, they have actually processed out 15 across the entire county. So we thought we were way behind the 8 ball, but it turns out we're not. There's so much information that the individuals have to still get to us, and different things that we have to do for it. So.
And then, so for the augmented staff, is there like a defined amount of period that we're going to be hiring them on, or what does that look like?
This grant goes through December 31st.
Okay.
So she would be,
They would be on staff till that time? Okay.
and, or until the money runs out, one or the other.
And then your staff is responsible for training them on Service Point or any other systems that they need to learn, or no?
Actually, the county will be doing all the training.
Okay.
So they will be doing the training. Obviously, Adriana will shore that up, but they will be doing the training for us.
Okay. And then in terms of some of the other things that you mentioned, as far as the information that we would get to residents, that would also go through this person as well?
Yes.
Okay. And then for the people coming into the township, they don't have to be from Zion if they choose the township as the organization that they want to go through?
No, I believe they have to be from Zion to choose Zion Township.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Okay. So thank you for that. One step at a time. So there's so much to learn. One of the things my staff did say was that if there is an opportunity, if funds do become available for homeowners, that they would like to, we would, if we can manage that as well, because that's really where we see another huge need. And, three of the reasons, right, is that we really swayed towards wanting to do this grant. One is that we've got a lot of really good landlords in our community. The bad landlords get a lot of the flack, but we've got some really good ones, and to be able to help them out is huge for us. And the second thing is the city with water bills. These funds will be able to help pay for water bills. And I think it's close to $800,000 in the red for water bills during COVID. So those were the two reasons. And also a number of people that shared with us that they don't feel comfortable going other places, and they really feel comfortable coming through us, and so wanting to try and figure out how we could manage this. Okay. Okay, next item.
One last question.
Yeah.
Are we going to be tracking the stats of who's helped on this, more than just numbers? Are you going to do any other breakdown?
So it's interesting that you say that. So Trustee Holmes and I had a conversation, and one of the things, I want to have a conversation with Kathy Champagne, because she's a data geek, to try and find different ways that we can be able to track different things with the township. But one of the things that Trustee Holmes and I talked about was seeing if we could devise a way to actually do a map with pins of where people live in what general areas that are getting help. Just to be able to see how we're serving the Zion community and where the bulk of the residents that are getting help are coming from. So
if you have addresses, there are some public APIs where we should be able to do some mapping for that.
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you have any other suggestions, ideas, we would love to have those.
Cool.
Did I miss anything, Jackie?
That's it.
Excellent. Okay, and so next item, discussion regarding employee benefits. We sent out an email, there's a document in your packets regarding that, and I'm going to turn it over to Assessor Colette Davis. Go through that with us.
Good evening. So Supervisor Neal and I have reviewed our employee manual, and there are 3 items that we would like for you all to review and help us come to a decision on. And so the first one is vacation days. So the current manual provided employees who worked more than 15 years at the township with 5 weeks of vacation. And we both would like to reduce that maximum to a maximum of 4 weeks. So on the left is the old chart, which shows calendar years of credited service, 1 to 5 years. The vacation hours awarded is 80. And in terms of 8 hours, it's 10 work days. And then it goes on from 5 to 10 years, it's 120 hours and 15 work days. 10 to 15 years is 160 hours and 20 work days. And then 15 plus years is 200 hours and 25 work days. And on the right is showing the recommended new chart, vacation chart, which would be 1 to 5 years would be 80 hours and 10 work days. 6 to 14 years is 120 hours and 15 work days. 15 plus, work hours rather. 15 plus is 160 hours and 20 work days. And there are currently 2 employees who would be negatively impacted by this. We spoke to our attorney, the Township attorney, Scott Nemenick, and he stated that it is fully in our purview to do whatever we like in regards to this. And we would like to honor the current year, but moving forward, go with the new vacation guidelines beginning next year. So that's the first item. The second item is,
Colette, could we just pause and let's just do these one at a time?
okay, that's fine.
And we think it's just a matter of like getting feedback from you guys. And then what we will do is in the employee manual, we will make the adjustments based on feedback and conversation, and then present that at the meeting for approval.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, it's, I understand that we have some folks that would have a reduction in hours, but in looking at the larger benefits available in terms of like holidays and anything else as far as time off, I think it's reasonable to, bring that in line with other organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 weeks. 5 weeks seems like a lot of time. I mean, it is, but I understand, the rationale for wanting to change it, and I agree.
In full disclosure, I never even looked at it when I first got elected. It's what was in the manual, and looking at it, I was like, well, who would ever be here 15 years? And now I turn around, it's like, oh my gosh, that's not necessarily true. And so having the opportunity to stop and reflect and make these changes with that has been really helpful.
Well, because I guess this, like I said, it doesn't include holidays, and this doesn't include like sick days and whatnot, right? This is just your vacation.
This is straight vacation.
Okay.
Right.
And there's what, about 8 to 10 holidays that we adhere to, and how many sick days?
We're going to move into that next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the next topic of discussion.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay.
So are we good on that? Everyone's okay with that? Okay. All right, so item 2 is personal days, sick days, personal time. So the employees currently have 1 personal day for each month to be used as necessary. For any unused days at the end of the year, they are allowed to turn them in for half the pay. And Supervisor Neal believes that this is a win-win for all and would like for the policy to remain the same. And I would prefer if we moved into 4 personal days, 8 sick days with no reimbursement for unused sick days and no rollover for personal days.
So use or lose.
Correct.
I have a question.
Mhm.
What is the criteria for designating a sick day? Do they have to show a doctor's appointment? Is there documentation required, or how is that defined between a personal day and a sick day?
No, I wasn't asking for any. I mean, if they're out for an extended period of time, then yes, you do want, some kind of doctor's note. But I mean, you have kids that can be sick. You can just be sick, not feeling well that day. I'm not asking for any documentation for that. I was just saying specify a certain amount of time for sick days and a certain amount of days for personal days.
Well,
Without having any.
that's why I'm asking what the definition of a sick day will be. Just from my own personal experience, we eliminated the term sick days over a decade ago. Everything, you get so much personal time off available. If you have an extended illness, then you go into a short-term leave status, which is a specified status. So, I mean, you know, if you have 12 personal days a year, and you could, you can make them use it or lose it. You know, that's one option. But I'm just wondering if there's a set criteria to designate something as a sick day or not a sick day.
It's
Because
not.
usually there's some kind of criteria required for that kind of designation.
I didn't have anything, that I submitted to say, these
Okay.
are the requirements for a sick day and these are the requirements for a personal day.
Personal day. Yeah, I think it would probably be
Trustee
just for
Carson?
simplicity's sake, just to have a bank of personal days that you accrue during the year, and for whatever use. That's just my opinion.
I would agree with Commissioner Fisher on this, that it would be better to have a paid time off rather than a designated sick day. And I guess I also agree with Assessor Davis, your suggestion of not rolling over those days. And then and not being reimbursed for them either. Half pay for those days that you don't use.
Trustee Frierson? Did you have something?
I agree with the bank idea. That was kind of my thought. It was why I was merging the two ideas earlier and thinking of, how can we combine that to just one big PTO bank that they have discretion over. And I do agree with, not paying them out. Since the numbers do get kind of hefty and if the workload kicks up, I'd probably be a fan of maybe rolling over a week, 40 hours or so. But other than that, it would be a use it or lose it type of thing.
The reason that personally I appreciated the paying out the 50% is because if we roll it over, then they're gone even more the next year, right? And then that puts a burden on us next year for not being fully staffed. And with doing this, then we get them in the office for half the price is really what it is. They stay in the office and it's half paid out. So it feels like it's a win-win situation if they don't use that personal day / sick day for the year. And then they get compensated, a little bit at the end of the year. It just feels like a huge win-win for them.
So do we pay that out at regular time or does it get paid out at time and a half? Is it
Regular time, half the time.
Okay.
One thing I would mention, if we're talking about rolling over, you can structure this to roll over, say maybe allow rolling over maybe 2 days, but you still can limit the accrual for the year to only 12. So they would start the year with 2 days in the bank right away, but they can't accrue any more than 12 in a year.
I think what we've been doing is they get the 12 for the year. And if they were to leave before the end of the year, then that would be, whatever they've used that is not part of what they were earned would be taken out of their paycheck to be able to do that. So,
Right. I'm just saying that if you're talking about rolling over,
right. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
rolling over it'd
they
be
carry
more
over.
payroll.
They had unused time this year, and they wanted to carry over 2 or 3 days that they've already earned. But if they want to carry them to the next year, then they could start the year with those. But they can't. Basically, it's just paying it forward to the next year. So they start with 3 days at the beginning of the year, but they don't earn any more beyond that. They don't get they don't get 15 days. They still only get 12 days within a year. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm curious feedback on the idea that like, instead of like, we get to keep them and we're only paying them for half a day and getting them in the office for the full day. Is kind of, I feel like in my mind, right, if they don't use all of those up, instead of getting it complicated with trying to do rollovers or whatever, it's done at the end of the year and they can cash out at 50% anything that they don't use, which doesn't end up being much, but it ends up being a little bit, which, you know, boosts them up. None of my staff make a ton of money here. And it's just a way to help them with like the holiday time and less burnout was my thought around it. But I respect your guys' input. Trustee Holmes, I'm curious your thoughts around it.
Yeah, I'm sort of on the fence. I mean, it's 12 days, one way or the other, but particularly if you know, I actually like the idea of having it paid out at half a day.
So the consensus that I'm hearing from everybody, and Colette, if you want to push back a little bit with your reason for wanting to do 4 personal and 8 sick days, versus they just get 1 day a month to, you know, to deal with whatever, whether it's sick kids or they need to run errands or whatever, for the day.
No,
I guess I'm still a bit curious about the goal of all of it. I mean, on either side, I mean, Supervisor Neal, even in terms of, you know, carrying over and having them out more the next year or what have you. My understanding was all of these days still have to be, or all the vacation days would have to be approved, you know, with the manager in advance. So workload would be taken into consideration. Is that right?
Yeah, workload's always, I mean, taken into consideration means that do we have people to cover them while they're out? Right, workload doesn't change, and it just, you know, it piles up on them in the meantime.
Right.
But we always make sure the phones are covered and we've got people, you know, covering situations. And so, but being able to, I just, you know, they get 12 days for this year, and to carry it over to next year where they would get extra days, then it just adds compounds next year's instead of just like, and I really like the idea of like forcing them to, if you're going to use it, you have to use it this year. So, and I do work really hard to make sure they schedule out their vacation time, you know, in advance, so that, because that you cannot roll over either. They have to, the vacation is use it or lose it. So curious consensus on the 50% payback. Trustee McDowell?
Are we making a decision about this right now, or are we just kind of discussing it and, you know, throwing out ideas?
So what Colette and I were thinking is that we would discuss it and throw out ideas and get your guys' feedback and then make a recommendation at the next meeting.
Okay, I guess hearing what everybody has said, I think I would keep it just the way it is. So 12 days PTO, and I understand the incentive for half pay, so that makes sense to me.
Else have anything more to add to it?
And the way we had, there weren't any rollover days. It's just you get 12 days. If you don't take them, the benefit to you is you can turn it in for half day's pay. Yeah, and you think that preserves the work day, so that there's incentive not to take those days unless you really need to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and recognizing that my entire team, they all have children, so generally they need them. Yeah. But if they didn't, then it encourages them to come to work instead of using them.
Well, and then also, do we have a work remote policy as well?
Yeah, you back on that one?
Do we have a work
Pardon
remote
me?
policy as well to accommodate that?
We haven't in the past, no. But with COVID, we might, you know, develop something like that. But up until now, starting, I'm speaking for the supervisor, starting May 1, everybody's in the office full time. And the doors will be open.
Okay.
Okay. And then the third one, what?
Currently, the employees get their birthday off, which Supervisor Neal approves of, and I do not, and I'd like for this benefit to be eliminated.
Assessor Davis, I mean, I guess I would just include it as part of the PTO. That's how I think about it.
This is a very, I've never run across this benefit in my career in human resources. And what happens if their birthday falls on a weekend?
They can use it anytime during the month of their birthday.
So essentially it's a 13th PTO day is what it is.
Correct.
I would stick with the PTO days and not birthdays.
Yeah. I agree with the assessor that this is a very unusual benefit and probably should not be continued.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it should be eliminated as well.
Trustee Frierson, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I agree. I guess part of my compromise with any of it would be to take 2 and 3 and possibly reduce it to like 10 PTO days. And at that point, if you still want to do the half day, that's one consideration that I have in terms of kind of meeting in the middle.
Now, if you want to do something unique, one country that I worked in, on your birthday, you were required to bring food for the whole office. Try that.
I'm going to tell my team that you don't get the day off, but you have to bring food and invite the trustees. That's hilarious. Okay. All right. We really appreciate your guys' input and feedback on those topics. So, and being able to bring you guys, we've had some pretty intense discussions about it, and, appreciating being able to get more input when we can't agree on something. So, because we just want to do what's best for the township. So, okay. So moving on, assessor's report.
Oh, well, let me keep going. So we are continuing to complete our regular off-peak work, record maintenance, field inspections, things of that sort. We are in the final month of data updates before the tax bills are calculated and mailed out by the county. They will go out for next month, the month of May, they will be mailed out. And we are working on our PTAB responses for 2019 and 2020 tax years. And at the town hall meeting last week, we received permission to dispose of and donate our old equipment and the vehicle that we had and furniture that we got rid of. So we were able to donate all of those things today. I mean, in the last few days. So that is one less thing on our list. And we are continuing to assist our taxpayers with filing for their exemptions. Just a reminder, once again, the deadline for filing the senior freeze exemption is July 31st. And that's my report.
Questions or comments for Assessor Davis?
So that donated furniture, are you guys anticipating buying more in the near future?
No. We had an overabundance of furniture, so we needed to be able to move around in the office. So we got rid of the excess.
But just for clarification, Assessor, weren't you talking about getting
You
a
froze.
space for you guys to be able to have meetings and stuff in there?
Say that again. You froze up.
I said, weren't you talking about setting up a space with a table to be able to have meetings and stuff in there with your team?
Yes. So the thought with that is we would need to move our file cabinets to be able to have room. Because right now we don't have any place to have any, when we have meetings, we kind of huddled around a desk. We don't have a table, any kind of a conference table or anything like that. When we're doing any kind of trainings, we don't have this space right now to do that. So we're all just kind of hunched up at a desk. And so if we were to put a table in the office, we would have to move all of our file cabinets out of the area that we wanted to put the meeting table in, conference table in. That would mean a move to the basement of the township to be, because we don't have any place here in City Hall to be able to move them and store them. And we would still be able to need to have them someplace where we could have access to them in case we ever needed them. Because occasionally from time to time, we will revert back to them because they have the original records for all the parcels, and maybe something that we may be digging deep for, information we're digging deep for, and we can easily go to the file cabinets and get it. So it's an option that we are weighing, in saying that, yes, we would be looking for a conference table and chairs if we did decide to do that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. Next item is the supervisor's report, just to update with everybody. So you can tell how proud I was, because on the board specific issues, I shared it twice. We had our full-day staff retreat on Wednesday, and Mother's Trust Foundation actually came out and awarded us this this plaque, the Service Partner Award, presented to Zion Township in recognition of your support of our mission and making a difference in the lives of children in Lake County. So we were really flattered to be able to get that, and it's actually it was specifically for the number of families that we were able to serve in partnership with them, as well as working for their common good. I worked to get all 18 townships to sign on to support a United Way grant that they could get, so that we would have a pot of funds to be able to help residents that the other funds weren't able to assist with. And so that ended up working out really well. The next item is our annual report. Is completed for 2020. There are some in the back of City Hall, in the council chambers, up in the where the agendas are. We can get you a copy as well. Tomorrow is our Senior Resource Day. If we could have collective, especially Pastor McDowell, I don't know how much sway you have with God with weather, but they're calling for rain and possibly snow. And so any like prayers you could send that way would be much appreciated. We're ready with umbrellas and raincoats and a tarp over the back of the truck. Yes, sir.
I have none.
Oh, do you have connection with anybody that does?
It's completely up to God.
And so we do have, so what we're doing tomorrow actually is it's a Senior Resource Day on wheels. So just like the food pantry that they do once a month over at Zion Park District, it's going to be run exactly the same way, where people pull up and then we'll just go and hand them each their bags. In 17 of the bags is a golden ticket where seniors will win prizes, and they've got the number on it, and they will come here and we will get them their door prize. We had quite a few vendors. It should be a really good event. And the Senior Resource Guide is priceless for helping seniors to navigate the resources. So that's from 11 until 2 tomorrow at the Zion Park District Leisure Center. If any of you would like to stop by, we would love to have you there. Additionally, the Zion Quarterly will be mailed out June 1st. I want to thank you guys in advance for your help. Or let me just thank the city commissioners for their help in advance with helping to get that in on time. Then the Job Center, Lake County Job Center, is taking applications for the summer work program. We will be hiring 14 and 15-year-olds, but I believe the program is actually 14 to 21. So individuals that are looking, so continue to push that. And then a huge shout out to the city council and the mayor for passing the resolution, making Zion Monarch City, USA. And so that was huge and went very quick. And just to share with you, these signs came in yesterday, which will be all over the city. Oh, there we go, City USA. The ones for the bike park and Hosha Park both say Zion, Illinois on the bottom. And so that is taking place because of you guys passing that resolution, as well as milkweed seeds being handed out to residents like crazy. Those will be in any day. And we have got zinnia seeds. We've got donated zinnia seeds that are still coming in to be able to give out to residents, because as we kick off zinnias for Zion as well. We see, we got that. And there we have our monthly report. We had 52 screenings completed with residents, referring them to programs, and then the listing of the different services that they actually qualified for. So, and then, like I said a little bit earlier, beginning May 1, the doors are open. Staff will be here full time, and we will be back in flow, getting ready for the summer work program and all that happens in the summer. So, is there anything else? Any questions, concerns? Hearing nothing, we're good to go. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second,
So second, any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Holmes,
Aye.
trustee Frierson,
Aye.
trustee McDowell,
aye.
trustee Fisher,
Aye.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.